I know you didn't get that, right? What do you mean? Time, of course, heals all wounds, including chironic wounds in your natal chart, but also surrender, because we cannot access our divine nature. Chiron is the part of the sky that shows us the wound of being incorporated into the material world, to have a corporeal form, a body. Astrology. Well, Chiron, the healer who is wounded, is about to turn retrograde on August the 3rd to the 4th, depending on your time zone. In today's video, we're talking about his retrograde motion through the sign of Taurus, where he will be traveling retrograde until September the 18th. Chiron is a mysterious figure. In fact, Barbara Hand-Clough, who wrote one of the very first books on the planetoid body, the centaur body, Chiron, has an expression that she put out there early on called that this wounded healer is a part of the rainbow bridge between the outer planets, Neptune and Pluto and Uranus, and the inner planets around our solar system, Saturn and under, and that this bridge was a bridge to our divinity. Specifically, her words were something like, Chiron is the teacher of the Earth connection to the higher planes, and the planetary sighting indicates the time has come for humanity to manifest our divinity. And I could not agree more. Having worked on Chiron for several years in my own chart and the lives of many of my clients, I've begun to see how the key to one's purpose and the use of our original talents and gifts in this world, our original medicine for humanity, lies in the Chironic storylines. Each of us was born with Chiron in one part of our sky, one whole sign house. That house, by meaning, is where the deepest wounds lie. And the gift is also where the deepest wounds lie. And in this way, we are called forth to bring purpose into our world. You know, the centaur is a half man, half horse. He's bestial, and he's also beyond that. He's of a human nature. And he was, in fact, made into being because he was born of Kronos, the god of time, and a nymph. And this story is about time, because it is time that keeps us stuck in our sense of the mortal muggle self, not the divine self, which is timeless. There's a lot to be said about Chiron. There's much myth around him. I've taught 2 courses about this particular planetary body that is on an elliptical orbit in our solar system. One is Chiron, the key to purpose, and the other one is Chiron for divine timing cycles in your life. I'd like to offer you those 2 courses as a gift. The first one, Chiron, the key to purpose, as a gift. There will be a ability in the link below to just go buy that course. And so you'll have a little bit of a better understanding of the Chironic impulse in your chart. And in that short class, I talk about where he sits at birth in your chart and where that original wound might lie. And I also go into a deep dive into what and who this archetype is about. Now, and Chiron return happens in our lives around 50 years old. So 49 to 51 years old, most of us begin to feel, or 47 to 51, because his orbit is elliptical, we all begin to wake up to our deeper sense of self, and we begin to heal forever the Chironic wounds of our reality, which is basically spirit and matter. I mean, come on, guys, this place sucks, right? Like, we are here incorporated, and it's a big adventure. Is it a schoolhouse? Maybe. Is it a playground? Who knows? Is it a really bad video simulation? Quite probably. But we're all here and we're in it together. Chiron is the part of the sky that shows us the wound of being incorporated into the material world, to have a corporeal form, a body, and yet to be something finer than the body, celestial, divine, immortal. And so when I talk about Chiron, I do with deep respect talk about Chiron, because Chiron isn't just the key to purpose, but he is the key to our divine essence. So in today's conversation, which I'm going to go through your sign, I want to talk about Taurus. You know, Taurus and why he's here and what it might teach us. You see, he hasn't been gallivanting through the sign of Taurus for a very long time. So we want to go back and experience the vibration of this, and it will take us back, for example, to events that occurred in the 1940s into the early 50s collectively, so we can compare, as well as, of course, 50 years later, that would have taken us into the 70s, and we can compare cycle repetition and pattern recognition. But in today's video, the focus is solely on his retrogradation I have a video out about Chiron and Taurus for the world and world events and his understanding of how he might impact your Taurus whole sign chart based on your sky. And that video I will put in the description box below for you to watch, and ding for Stella, my amazing editor, to also highlight for you here. That Chiron video came out just as Chiron entered the sign of Taurus in June. Chiron entered Taurus June the 19th and leaves Taurus in September on the 17th. Okay, before we get started on the retrograde motion of Chiron, August 3rd, 4th through to September 17th in the sign of Taurus, welcome to my channel. My name is Lori Lothian. This is Western Tropical Zodiac and Whole Sign Houses, of course. Cast your chart and whole sign houses. How? Check my free tutorial down below. As well, we are also here today to remind you that I love to teach classes. I do. I actually just enjoy that more than anything else. And so I teach a lot of classes in astrology. My big flagship program is every September. It's called the Sky Reader class to read the natal sky in your chart. And it's hypothetically there to help you time your best life. That's going to depend on you learning the basic language of astrology in a boot camp. They go 7 weeks with the last couple of weeks of lessons all about 2 divine timing tools that are super easy to use even when you're a beginner, and I'll help you navigate your life without listening to astrologers all of the time to see your own sky and understand how to read it. Now, this class is for people who are beginners. If you're at more intermediate level, you might want to come to any of my other classes next year, like Map Maker and Code Breaker. They'll be coming out, and you could join me then. Finally, anything about the course is in the description box below. Please check it out. The whole description of the course, the weekly Q&As, it's 6 guest teachers, what we're doing for 7 weeks. The Discord Facebook group is, there for support with other students. And if you want to see more about the course and then maybe come on and enroll, look below in the description box for that. We have a discount for all of August, not as big as July for those super early bird discount people who jumped in. If any of you is really struggling with finances, I do offer a discount scholarship or needs-based scholarship tuition. So please reach out to my team at probably the best way to reach out to me is at the hello at inbox.lorilothian.com, but that email address is on my website as well, lorilothian.com. Okay, guys, enough of the spiel there, right? Enough of that. I want us to just get really honest with Chiron stories for a minute and talk about it before I do your sign. Kind of bring you around the Chiron wheel. I was born with Chiron in my 2nd house. Now, that's the house of speech and the house of the voice. When I was a child, I was very shy in school. Starting in grade 1 or kindergarten, I clammed up, right? I didn't talk. Teachers never heard me answer questions. If I had to do something in front of the class, like I was forced to do it, like do a speech or whatever, I would completely freeze. And then would talk really fast, and I would be hot sweating. My armpits would be dripping wet. I was completely quiet in university. One time, my professor in my last year of my undergraduate degree came over to talk with me at meet the prof, have some bar drinks with the prof. I was one of his best students, right? Like super A+y all my life. I'm a geek. But he was like, you know what? You're absolutely brilliant. You write these essays that are amazing, but you never once spoke in class for the whole year. Why? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just shy. But am I shy? Chiron in the 2nd house of the voice is the wound of the voice. In fact, one time my mother said to me when I was young, she said, "Oh, stop talking so loud." Now, that was probably not the real reason for the wound. It's quite possible in another life I spoke out against injustice and I was imprisoned or I was murdered or I was, hung or something like that. And in fact, even the wound of the throat, right? The 2nd house is the throat. I had a near-death experience at age 18 months from a runaway case of strep throat. So all said and done, this is the wound for me. And so you guys got to laugh how Chiron works, right? Because also this is my microphone issue, right? I get a new recording studio. I'm trying to use Riverside in a new home, and my Shure mic is not working with my Riverside software with my Mac. And I end up sounding for about 1 month. Many complaints from you, many concerns that I have a tongue ring. I'm wearing a retainer for my teeth, that I have some illness or some serious dental work going on, or that I've always had a lisp and you're just now noticing it. So let's try again. It's not the sun. It's not the fun, it's the sun. That's called sibilance, and that was just audio interference. And I think I finally cleared it up. But thank you for your kindness and also your weird comments. So that wound was right in my face. I realize that only now that I've healed this wound of my voice with you guys in this new studio. The other thing about your chironic wounds is they will be lifelong. There's not going to be a point in your life where one day, no matter what you say about it, I'm all healed of my chironic wound. We get better at the refinement and the healing over the journey of time, but also over the journey of surrender. I know you didn't get that, right? What do you mean? Time, of course, heals all wounds, including chironic wounds in your natal chart, but also surrender, because we cannot access our divine nature until we are in a place of surrender. And I'm just going to leave you with that. If you ever want to ask me more questions, I'll give it to you. But it's not a surrender of circumstance, person, place, or thing. It's a surrender of our identity to the truest self that we are. And this is I'm going to tear up. I'm going to tear up. It's been a very teary last couple of days. I'm recording on the Aquarius full moon, Aquarius rising, but I've been afraid to share some of that with you guys, right? My voice has been constricted about letting you know that the biggest part of my life is my spiritual journey. Everything else is icing on the cake. Okay, so I want to talk now about each separate sign. I want to talk about what you might be thinking, doing, or being as we see Chiron turning retrograde, as we see him moving backwards from zero Taurus back into Aries. Yes, the world will experience September 17th when he backtracks into Aries all the way through till the middle of April next year, because he's going to turn around and try to get the hell out of there. Chiron and Aries has been a long story. It goes all the way back to 2019. And it has been the wounds of war. Chiron is the wounded one in the sign of war. And I'll be addressing that a lot more when we go back to the mid-September turning point, and he's going to spend those months in those grand finale months in the sign of Aries. I will talk about that. For today, we're talking about the Taurus part of our sky. Taurus is a fixed sign, it's a stubborn sign, and we don't like change. It's also connected to the archetype of the bull, and it's ruled by Venus. We do not like change, because we are fixed here. Fixed signs are stubbornly resistant to change. That is all you Aquarius, Scorpios, Leos. You're fixed, Taurus. And the thing about fixity is that it's also a superpower, because it gives you stick-with-itness as well. It gives you that stubborn persistence. It gives you a quality of when the going gets tough, the tough get going. The fixed signs have strength in them, but they are not adaptable and immutable, and they're not also charging forward with bold initiative. I just spoke the words of adaptable, mutable signs and cardinal signs. So instead, we rely on fixity. If you're an artist and you're doing a painting, like, oh my God, I usually have a ton of art around me that artists paint, but I moved and all my stuff is in storage. But, I was going to show you one of my favorite paintings, but I realized it's not with me. Artists like to fix a painting, right? You've done it. It's perfect. You've done the brush strokes, this, that, touched up everything. The canvas is ready to be fixed. When you fix the painting, I believe as an artist, you basically put your stamp of approval on it. It's fixed because you want to maintain this thing of beauty that you created. So we would admire the fixed nature of Taurus. What does Chiron do with fixity? What does he mean for us to do? As he was in Aries, which is cardinality, which will bring us into more the bold, the daring, the pioneering last 9 years. Healing the collective identity wound of I am as well. For Aries is the youth and the I amness of the chart. Taurus is the I haveness of the chart. It's the place where we are possessing and owning something. It is Venus who wants the worldly life, the worldly possessions, but also the sensual and the pleasurable and the creative and the artistic and the beautiful. So we want to now look at the idea of our collective and individual having wounds. I have food, shelter, water. Anyone? Enough money to pay my bills? I have a love story. I have a romance. I have children. I have good health. If you go, I have blank. In fact, a good exercise for this Taurus story coming up August 3rd, 4th through to when? September 17th, is to write a list of the things you think that are important, but use the word I have. You don't have to have them. You don't have a love partner, but write the things that you say, deal breakers for life, right? Deal breakers for life. Not like I have a Maserati. If having a Maserati or a Ferrari or whatever, or Porsche is a deal breaker for life, I'd be surprised. What are your absolute must-haves? Because those are worth writing down. And what I'm trying to say is that you're going to have a lot of chance, right, till 2030, brain come back online, maybe 35, 33, but as Chiron moves through Taurus, you're going to have a lot of time to practice the deeper layer of understanding why the I have is a deal breaker for you, right? So everything that we want to own, possess, or have in our lives, right, has a deeper spiritual root beneath all of it. I want to have a love relationship underneath it because then I'll know I'm lovable. There's always something deeper. But start with your non-negotiable list of I haves. And as we go through this story today and I get to your sign, I'm about to do that. As I do that, I want you to ask yourself a simple question. I want you to ask yourself, what have I been learning? What have I been experiencing and learning that feels a little bit ouchy, right? Oh, that really stings. And it's going to be connected to how that learning began to express itself for you on June 19th and continue to express itself until August 3rd, 4th. That wound is now backtracking. It's going back in time. And what happens as Chiron backs up and goes back in time is he recovers and revisits the story you have been learning since June the 19th, all the way through from June the 19th until August 3rd, 4th. And now you're going to deepen what you've discovered. Now you're going to backtrack over it. It's a little bit like if you paint a wall, right? You put the first brush stroke down the wall and then you go for another one to deepen the color. So it's not to take back, it's to deepen something that has been wounded, not to dig the wound in deeper, but to understand it deeply, more truly. There's a lot of times when Chiron is retrograde where I find the healing actually happens after years of watching clients' charts. In other words, you can consider Chiron direct where we are going head first into life situations, people, places, and things that are going to sting. And then as Chiron retrogrades, he brings the wisdom, the truth, the surrender, and the understanding of what the wound is for. Because every one of our gifts comes from our woundedness. Every one of our life's experiences provides us with more purpose. Every one of the things that has conceivably caused harm to our sense of well-being ultimately can become a superpower. So you have to laugh to finish this up. In Hillman's book, The Soul's Code, James Hillman's book, The Soul's Code, he talked about how when you have a destiny that's great, you'll often be afraid to face it and you will experience the opposite of your own destiny. And he uses the example, there's many examples, but one I remember now is the orator Winston Churchill during World War II. I don't care what you know. I know the deep state, the backstory, the nefarious dealings, but just the archetype. Winston Churchill was well known during the war for putting these speeches on the radio and instilling hope and optimism and trust and faith in people who are being bombed, like Dresden. And at the same time, World War II, at the same time, when he was a child, he stuttered so badly, most of his adult life as well, that he was afraid to speak to the public. So I would not even be in the league of a Winston Churchill, but you'll have to use me as an example because I know me the best. I couldn't talk in school. I could talk with my neighborhood friends and my sisters and my family, yes, but school, I froze. And for years and years, I was so quiet in school, people didn't even know that I could talk. And now what do, guys? All I effing do, excuse my language, is talk. I talk on YouTube non-stop. I talk to clients all of the time. Well, not now. I'm not seeing any more clients. Don't ask. I'm not taking on any clients right now. And I also talk when I teach in front of people. In fact, I remember teaching my very first course that I ever taught, the Money Code, And I taught that back in Montreal during the pandemic. It might have been in 2020 that I first taught it, or 21. I can't remember. I was so nervous. I was shaking as I got ready for that call of 12 students in a tiny little Zoom room. Can you imagine that now? Now, that, by the way, that money code course, I've updated it now. And it's called the Ultimate Money Code. And I'm teaching it the third week of August. Check the description box below. I'd love to have you join me. I promise I'm not going to be stuttering, nor will be sweating bullets in that Zoom room. I want to show you how to find the money in your chart. Now, let's move past that. Woo! I'm going to share with you now a picture of the sky. We're going to start with Aries. I'm going to go around the heavens. And as we do that, we're going to talk about, for your sign, what my humble suggestions are about this part of the story that lasts until September 17th, where you are now going into the deeper surrendered understanding of what this wound is. Because don't forget, Chiron comes back here around mid-April next year and will spend several years, at least 7, in this part of your chart. So you've got the test pilot, you got the trailer, the teaser, you got the foreshadow time here to know what you're dealing with. All right, go watch the longer Chiron and Taurus video that's already out for much more detail about the whole theme of your Chiron life over the next few years as as Chiron comes back to Taurus next April. I just ate 2 giant like Egg McMuffins and I'm still hungry. I feel like I'm pregnant or something. Like, I'm like, can I have more food? Oh my God. And you really want to take that course, right? It's free. I'm offering it to you for free. Why do you want to take that course? I'm offering you for free. You want to take that course for free because you'll go deeper into the mother wound that Chiron has. He has a wound of not belonging, of being the outsider, but you'll know why that wound is there. Okay, so it's free, guys. It's Chiron, the key to purpose. Check the link below. You need to join my membership community over at my website, but once you do that, you have that course, right? And so I think it's really important now for all of us to understand the deeper meaning of Chiron. So I've got it set for September 16th, and you'll see Chiron is still in Taurus. And if we go ahead a day and we move to, no, that's a week, so that doesn't help. I'll just show you him crossing over. And we go over to, I am so hungry. All right, there we go. So here you see around September 18th, he's crossing over into the sign of Aries again. Well, he'll be there for quite a while. Should be interesting with Saturn here and Chiron, because Saturn can constrict, contain, but also is realistic. And Chironic wounds of war have been plaguing humanity since the Ukraine-Russia war, and of course the Middle East one as well. And this all started to tumble out of the 2019 Chiron ingress into Aries. So there's a lot to be said for that. Let's go back to the now. Let me trundle forward to August the 4th. Again, it depends on where you live. It'll be like, I don't know, 12:30 in the afternoon, Pacific time, Los Angeles, Vancouver, Canada. Chiron's backward ingress into Aries, into retrograde turnaround in Taurus, and then he will be backtracking. And again, like 12:30 in the afternoon, like in Australia, on my August 4th, 3rd is your August 4th, right? So that's what I'm trying to get at. So time zone dependent. Let's just keep it here for August 4th. It's fine. There's Chiron at 0 degrees of Taurus, and this is Scorpio. So let's instead pull up the Aries people. Now, some of you love to learn astrology. What I've managed to do by some miracle of the fates is attract an audience who's educated, educating, or curious. Astro-curious is how I look at it. So for you astro-curious people who got really mad at me when I decided to share not this thing, and the ones who didn't like it, I acquire curious minds. That's my audience. They're erudite, they're smart, they're intelligent, and they're curious people. Thank you, guys. And so I want to share, for your curiosity, I want to share something, right? I'm going to teach something here. Chiron is here in Venus's sign. This is Taurus. There's the bull. And what is she doing? She's in her Virgo fall. So at the ingress, at the station turnaround time, as Chiron is retrograde August 3rd, 4th, Venus is in rough shape. That's what I want you to know. The good news is she's in a whole sign trine. Flowing back over her shoulders is a bouquet that Chiron's trying to catch. But she's really in rough shape. She's in the sign of her fall. She's fallen and she can't get up. You may have noticed, I'm recording this on July 29th. You may have noticed the week of July 29th, like Monday through to Friday, a lot of tension in relationship stories in your life, whether they be, lovers, marriage partners, sometimes very important people to us, our friends. And we have the square, right? This terrible tension between the cosmic lovers and Venus fallen. So we're dusting off from that. We're dusting off from that energy. It came out in a video for the Mars Venus square for my week astrology. Go read it week ahead. But it's behind us now, but you're still feeling that the dusting off is happening. And so you may be noticing that the Chironic wound retrograde is connecting you to rough and tough tumble love stories. Betrayal, love, and abandonment stories could have been going on. Harsh endings in relationship may have been going on. Cosmic and conscious cord cutting may have been going on in relationships for your life. And that was preceding this. This was the week before August the 3rd. But Venus was tangled up in it, and now she's trining Chiron, not only the wounded one, but the healer. He has two sides to him. All right. Chiron comes from the Greek word Chiros, which is about your hands. So it's time to get some hands-on healing for yourself. How can you put your hands on yourself, so to speak? How can you be handy in self-healing? Venus is supporting that in what we call a whole sign flow of Earth trine energy. So it's not so shabby because of the trine. It's been tough and rough already. She's here to help. And the way I would tell you the story here in my lovely make-believe way, Chiron turning retrograde, every condition upon his station retrograde is baked into everything he does in Taurus until September 17th. And the main thing he's doing as he turns around retrograde is getting a whole sign trine bouquet of flowers from Venus, who's fallen and been through a really challenging week the week before. And the second thing he's doing, which isn't too shabby either, is pivoting from his T-square to Jupiter and Pluto. He's forming a square to both planets. He's moving away from that intensity of squaring Jupiter, knowledge, truth, wisdom, goodness, dispelling of darkness, guru, and he's moving toward Pluto. Thing is, Pluto's also moving this way, so that he's chasing Pluto. But it's going to be that he's pivoting on what has been a square position to two major planetary bodies, particularly Jupiter. Hello, guys. You always ask me, rising sign, sun or moon, how do I listen to this thing in astrology? Well, your sun is who you really are. Think of it about your spiritual essence, your divine light, the flame of your soul that lives forever, takes on a body, and that body is the ascendant. You might think of your sun sign like the actor who plays the role in the movie. Your sun is the real you, and the role you're playing in the movie, well, that's your rising sign. You tend to look like that sign. You tend to act like the personhood of that character in the simulation. It is not your real self, but you need a vehicle for your spirit to express. And when we look at your moon sign, we think about how you feel and think about life, your happiness, your emotional blueprint, your subjective well-being. But you remember the moon is only reflecting the light of the spiritual essence of you, the sun. So therefore, it's a temporary aspect or an operating system for your consciousness. I see a lot of the time that people's moon sign is really useful when you want to see how you're going to feel about this sky, but it also connects you very strongly to energies of home, safety nest, and mother. The moon is that stuff to do with the nurturant part of reality. When we talk about your sun sign, it can be father related material, but also connections to your purpose and career. For your soul is inherited, is on planet Earth to do something, right? And we usually call that a purpose of some kind. And lastly, the ascendant, very sensitive to your body, very sensitive to the fates and the circumstances of life. That is where your rising sign is, how you showed up, took the first breath of life. What was the sign on the eastern horizon at the time of birth? That's what the rising sign is. And it's very accurate for delineating astrology, at least until the age of mid-40s. And we begin to move back into our true self, into our solar energy. And we'll notice that our sun sign becomes as accurate or can be more and more actively useful for prediction. Already, sometimes you'll look at children for the first 7 years and they're operating primarily on sun sign energy. So when you're looking at your kids, definitely listen for their sun sign over their rising sign. All right, guys, here's that short form. Take it away. Let's go into the chart ahead. So we're going to start with Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. Aries, I feel you. I have a sun and a moon here, and we're going to talk about how the chironic wound in your second house of voice, vocation, and calling, speech, money, earnings, resources, and possessions. Not only is Taurus kind of an I have sign because it's a natural ruler of the second house, but Chiron is the wounded one here. So, where is there something that you needed or wanted to possess that you were noticing from June the 19th through to August the 3rd, 4th, you were having trouble getting your grip on that thing that you wanted to possess? It may have slipped through your fingers. Now, I can give you suggestions about what that might have been. It might have been a job. It might have been a source of revenue. It might have been an object you really wanted to keep, but you couldn't, like your car you love, but it broke down and you had to sell it or something. But it can also be a love story you had to dispossess yourself of because Venus fallen in a very karmatic house could have been signaling square Mars the week before. It's time to exit stage left, a karmic debt relationship. For Venus rules the house of your long-term committed love. And so where you've been in a committed love story or a long-term committed friendship even, where it's been very important to you, go back to the last week's narrative. Did you need to release or was it released for you? Could you surrender it or did you cling and want to possess? That's one thing some of you may have gone through. There are many ways that Venus fallen in the sixth house squaring Mars last week could have played out, but because she is the ruler of the committed love house, a lot of you felt this jolt in your relational life of some sort. And I wouldn't discount long-term friends who are important to you. I wouldn't discount those people. This is where we have committed and long-term connection. Ultimately, Chiron retrograding here till September 17th is helping you heal a fear of not having. And you're in particular going to have to receive some blessings around the idea that there is such a thing as scarcity on the financial front. You are always taken care of. And there's something here for you to consider. Maybe you had to let go of a livelihood, take time off of work. Venus is in a workhouse last week. Maybe you were having to quit your job or your job quit you, whatever it is. There is an existential level of success that happens here when you let go of the fear of scarcity, and that if you don't take care of you, the universe won't. So you're in this kind of time. Look for the healing balm. Look for the truth that shows up for you. You are well cared for. You will find your way through this world. Your food and shelter and water will be provided. Any love that leaves is a love that was ready to expire. Any love that you let go of, or any friendship last week before this, may be a true healing for you. And if you need to speak your voice in any way, and you've been unable to speak freely, truly, unencumbered through that throat chakra, if that happened for you at all during the June 19th until August 3rd, 4th window of time, now you're going to go back and inspect, learn the lessons, and repair that story. You may have the chance to speak again, speak differently, speak more truly. If you had any health problems with your throat, could it be your face as well, right? Face, teeth, throat. You begin to repair and heal those problems. Any problems with the physiology of your body in the throat or face or mouth or teeth is connected to Chiron here. And the deeper meaning is, what do we use those things for, right? We use those things to communicate, right? The voice, the throat chakra, the mouth, the teeth, and the face in general. All right, so hopefully you have some guidance there. Let me know if you experience anything about this kind of situation that is behind you. It's going into its more healing depth now. Let me know if any of that resonates. And don't forget to watch the longer Chiron video that already came out. I'll put it in the description box below. It's really an important deep dive into the Chironic key to purpose. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. The first thing that you might pay attention to here is that you are being healed while you are also being wounded. Now, you can talk to any Aries rising in particular, sun and moon secondarily. Go have a conversation with all of them because they'll be telling you about it already. They've lived through this since February of 2019. Ultimately, Chiron here is giving you a run for your fixed money. There's something about your wanting to hold on to everything, your resistance that you are naturally capable of inviting steadfast permanence into your life. Nothing needs to change here. Everything's exactly as it should be. This can make you like a turtle in your shell hiding from reality. So there's something going on for you fixed Taurus people where what Chiron's showing you starting June 19th all the way through until August 3rd, 4th, where you've been feeling pretty stuck or hurt or wounded or challenged, right? Now, because Chiron is teaching you the first of many lessons here, it's worth paying attention as he retrogrades from the 3rd, 4th until the 17th of September back through Taurus, what it is you can really do with what you have already experienced. Chiron is guided by Venus as he turns around, and she happens to be in a fallen place in your house of romantic love, fertility and pregnancy, children, sexual energy, creative and artistic and procreative energy, as well as entrepreneurial spirit. And ask yourself about your life in June the 19th to August the 3rd, 4th. What's been going on? Because whatever's been happening there is so important. It's for you to inspect what you have learned about yourself. Did you have a challenge with your children? Did you have a romantic heartbreak? Did you have a kerfuffle with your muse where she wouldn't talk to you no matter how hard you screamed at her to get your book written or your painting finished or your creative spark of entrepreneurial zeitgeist going? Everything was just flatlined. Hobbies that you love suddenly became difficult, maybe. So there's a lot to be said about your own inner experience for the vitality, enthusiasm, inspiration of where Venus is traveling may have been dampened June 19th to August 4th. Now, sometimes when Venus is in her fall in the 5th house and you're in a romantic relationship, and now Chiron's retrograding backwards in your sign, if you have had a difficult time in the affection, romance, pleasure part of love, there may be a solution. Oh, I love it. A ladybug just landed on my window. Go Google ladybug. I think it's a Mary Magdalene. It's Our Lady, or she saved the crops in the Middle Ages. Go read about her. She's a lucky symbol for you, Taurus, just showing up. And Venus is in her joy house and in the house of good fortune, even though she's fallen. So her whole sign trying to Chiron can show you ways to heal your intimacy in your life with someone important to you. Chiron is going retrograde. Chiron is leaving a tighter energy square. It's always been kind of loosey-goosey, but he had been squaring Jupiter for the month before this time. And Jupiter is the good guy, the fairy godfather. And there may have been some feelings of wanting to be there may be some expenses in your home or challenges in your home or wounds in your home that have been plaguing you. You need to find justice, Jupiter, for that. I've been laughing at my daughter, a Taurus sun, and she spent hours and hours filing a legal complaint against her landlord that she's likely to get money back from for moving into a unit without a working oven for 5 months. Yeah, you heard me. So there's that legal justice she was seeking. And Chiron now is returning backwards. What is it that you are healing in your childhood as well? Jupiter is like Santa Claus, throwing big energies into the house of childhood. So there's also a sense that you may be going back to your growing up years, your mother, father story, especially with sun there, and really applying those memories, going like a Rolodex, sifting through some childhood memories, because ultimately it says your prosperity Jupiter is connected to your childhood, and you may be just going through an existential inner balance of what you believe you're capable of in the land of success and prosperity and wealth. Both Pluto and Jupiter speak to that. Maybe you have lost money recently. Maybe you never thought you made enough money. And now, maybe something's repairing. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to experience some wealth. And if that's happening, it's happening because the lesson is even deeper than I have money, because you're not the I have wound. No, you're not. You're not that. You are a different wound. You are the I am worthy of prosperity. I am worthy of success. And that lesson may be coming home for you. Pay attention to what's going on around those themes all the way through until September 17th. Don't worry, you get another test run and all the scary stuff next year in April. It's possible, because of Venus in the fifth house and Chiron retrograding, that a wounded relationship from your past returns. It didn't work, something fell apart, it never made the cut, and now it's retrograde energy says some love story from your past that was fallen is coming back for re-inspection. Some love story wants to be re-investigated by you between now and September 17th. Doesn't mean you have to get back together with that person. It means that there's something to heal, something to look at here for you as well. Okay, guys, this is a Gemini sun, moon, and rising sign. I can relate. My progressed sun has moved here, but it's icing on the cake of your natal chart. Natal chart is always fundamental. So with Chiron tiptoeing into the Taurus sky, please go watch the long deep dive video on this story for the world and you back at around June 19th. He's now ready to turn around and leave. And by September 17th, he's going to be out of Taurus for a few months. This is a spiritual house. This is where, if you're yearning for a spiritual awakening, the kind of awakening that gives you equanimity, the peace that passeth all understanding, saith Jesus. Gotta love the King James version of everything, saith. And elementally speaking here, it's earth, it's fixed. So there's a quality there for the fixity of one's enlightenment or the fixity of one's spiritual depth that wants to hold in place. Chiron has been moving forward through that part of your sky since June 19th. And he is like a wise mentor, healer, guide as well. So you may have come into an orb of a spiritual guide, teacher, or shaman, June 19th until, August 4th. Now the retrograde through till September 17th is inviting you to deepen that story. Now, to deepen that story would also be to use the healing arts of Chiron to sort of cement a level of consciousness into place. For those of you for whom that kind of thing makes absolutely no sense, no worries. This can be money you make internationally through digital income and borderless revenue, working for a foreign company, traveling abroad and working like a digital nomad, working in another country than the one in which you were born. Chironic wound is being explored June 19th, all the way through until now. This is also your isolation chamber where you need to be alone, whether you're in a hospital, jail, or a sane asylum, or just meditating on your cushion in a dark room. Your solitude is here. Did you feel a solitude wound, an aloneness wound? It could have been you didn't have enough aloneness. Maybe aloneness was hard to find. I don't know. As this Chiron retrograde happens, investigate the themes I brought to your attention. See what's going on within yourself between now and September 17th. The best healing happens in stillness here. This is literally the hideout, the hideaway, the writer's retreat, the downtime, the ashram, or just simply not saying yes to every social invitation. So there's deep depth of healing. Get up at sunrise, watch the sunrise, do your, salute the sun yoga. All right, before bed, put some calm music and candles on. It's kind of asking for that kind of vibe for every Gemini. Because Venus is fallen and she is in a whole sign trine to her own kingdom, she's trying to flow back a bouquet of love toward Chiron. And she's in the house of your home. So that retreat center can be your own home. It's also where you've fallen in your own home. Now, Venus rules pleasure, any kind of pleasure, guys. Gardening is a pleasure. Dancing is a pleasure. Alcohol, weed, and other stuff are a pleasure. And so there may have been a feeling of you falling in the weeks before now, let's say, falling in some way because of the pursuit of pleasure. I wrote a poem years ago, about pleasure shall never keep me from my joy. It's a great poem. It really hit the mark for me because I was seeking satisfaction and party hard girl, right? So ask yourself, maybe if you're looking at childhood wounds around pleasure, childhood wounds around love, childhood wounds around friendship. These are Venus fourth house narratives, as well as pleasure-seeking behaviors that have caused you to fall. That is also being wrapped up in the next few weeks. Yes, August the 4th to September 17th, the grand healing is afoot. Lastly, yes, absolutely, get a shaman, a mentor, a guide, or a teacher to help you. That's Chironic, but retrograde. from the past. Go back to that teacher, healer, shaman. Go back to the past. Find the one in the past that was that role for you that can be very helpful as you move through this sort of deepening of the healing between now and September 17th. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. I certainly would say to you that having Chiron in your 11th house of good spirit can't be all that bad. It's a very positive and lucky house. Yet, Chiron entered here June 19th, retrograding soon, theater near you, August 3rd, 4th, and is going to deepen the lesson here. Now, there may have been a Chironic wound in a friendship here. You've experienced a falling out with a friend, June 19th till about now, or a social group or a group of belonging. And Chiron is the actual wound of one of his primary wounds, besides the mother wound, is the wound of being the outcast centaur. He was half man, half horse, civilized, wore clothes, father of medicine and a bunch of other stuff. And the other centaurs were randy, uncivilized beasts having orgies every day. In other words, he didn't fit in with his kin. He was a hybrid. He was a chimera. And so where you might have felt you didn't fit in could be very mild. Like could be you didn't get invited to that party down the street and you're wondering why. Or you don't fit in because you don't like who you're hanging with. And the wound is like, I'd love to be fitting into this, like, drinking hard crowd, and I just can't do it anymore. That would be my wound. I'm trying to avoid friends that drink so that I don't. So I think that you're kind of looking at the whole picture of where you belong, but also the wound of your dreams. Sometimes we just wish fulfill in the 11th house. Like we sit down, we write a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, or we fantasize our wishes, our goals, our desires. There's a desire house, and maybe there's a wound there. Maybe some of your desires seem completely impossible. Maybe some of your goals and wishes seem to you to be challengingly unlikely to ever happen. You may be experiencing that kind of thing, especially with Saturn retrograde eyeballing your 11th house right now, meaning he's got his aspect of his visual field there. And so he's also Mr. Realism. So now you have a deflation of some long standing or wishful goal or dream. And that deflation you might have felt June 19th through to August 4th. Let me know if any of those make sense to you. Does any of that resonate? A sibling, one above you in birth order, is here. Any challenges, disappointments, or hardships with that sibling or in the life of that sibling are also highlighted. Now, in the next few weeks until September 17th, you're going to deepen into it. Venus at the turnaround station is in her fall, but trining Chiron, who's in her home. So there's like a quality of the trine that kind of almost trumps Venus's condition of fall in my mind, but she's trying to apply gentle, loving, expansive pressure towards Chiron from the house of siblings. From the third house is just categorically siblings, sibling one younger than you specifically. From the house of your online social media landscape, writing and teaching, learning. From the place of your neighbors and neighborhood and local environment and daily routines. Because there's relational qualities to houses 11 and to the third house, there may be some energy here for you around relational wounds. And so you're going to prepare some relational wounds to your friends, to your neighborhood, to your sibling relationships through till September 17th. So you've got a long runway for that. People born with Chiron in the 11th house, 100% of the time tell me in client sessions, they never fit in high school or elementary school. They were the geek, the outsider, they were the ostracized one. So you may have to learn over the next 7 years how not to be uncomfortable being you and different and not trying to fit in like a square peg into a round hole into friendship circles and groups that really don't suit you. Okay? So keep that in mind as well. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign, fundamentally, Chiron, 10th house, career, purpose, wounds. Yes. Now, Chiron entered here June 29th or June 19th, stations to retrograde on August 3rd, 4th, and exits the Taurus part of your chart, right? September 17th, 18th. What is this? What is this about? It's like when the key to purpose enters the house of visible reputation, 10th house, actions that everyone notes you're doing, associated primarily with the concept of career, there is going to be a 7-year period coming up here where you're going to really have to focus on whether you feel there's a meaning, purpose, and the natural talents and gifts being used in this life, your original medicine for the world, your unique gifts that only you hold being dispensed into the reality structures in a visible way. You're going to be doing this dance for a while. But before that dance even begins, you're already on it. Have you felt a chironic wound to your reputation? You know, everyone's dissing you. You've fallen from the heights of success and everyone's talking. Have you felt a wound inside of you that the work you're doing, the career that you're pursuing is just somehow slightly off purpose, doesn't really seem to fit who you are? Do you have a wound around social identity? Oh my God, I'm unmarried now. I'm getting divorced. I'm widowed. I'm single. Like, you know, where is your social standing, social, I can't do the right word for that. The thing that you identify as publicly. People say, oh, there goes John, he's married. Oh, go there's Sue, she's divorced. Whatever. Wounds around those qualities of your social reputation as well. Maybe you had maybe you went through June 19th to August 1st ever having to reveal to the world that you're separating from a life mate, right? I'm just giving you examples. Now, Leo, as Chiron goes into the retrograde through till like September 18th or so, 17th, 18th, you're going to go back and you're going to investigate those wounds. You're going to see if you can heal any last, you know, any pussy part, so to speak, put some polysporin on there, you know, put a Band-Aid on it. But it also, for whatever reason, impacts your voice or your money, because there's Venus in her fall in the house of your voice, your speech, your vocal cords, your earnings, your possessions, and the things that you have. So that money story can also have been triggered for some of you over the last few weeks. And now you're going to go back and heal your worthiness, your inner life around the safety in life, the possessions, the food, the shelter, the water, the I have. The fall of Venus in the second house is literally a bump in the road, maybe on your finances, could be. She also rules the house of siblings, and there also could be collateral bumps in sibling relationships as well that you're dealing up. And they may involve financial matters or an inability to speak freely. I think that the career and the Artha houses of 2 and 10 tell me that you're trying to align earnings with purpose. And so there's something about that between September 17th that is highly active for you to look closely at the narrative and dive into the proper healing for this narrative. A Band-Aid is fine if you're bleeding out, right? But if you're not, take the Band-Aid off, inspect the wound, for goodness sakes. What is it? Did you get a bug bite there? Was it a nick from a paper cut? Were you stabbed? What kind of wound are you really dealing with? 'Cause ultimately, the second house is very much connected to one's sense of identity, connected to the family of origin, connected to your sense of worthiness in life. And so there's a lot to dig up if you open that wound up, if you look at the Band-Aid and take it off and say, well, what is this wound exactly? Because you're going to work the chironic wound in the 10th for a while. This tells us, go to the money story, go to the childhood family of origin narratives as well about your self-worth, your self-esteem, and in general, your worthiness to have in life what you want that brings you joy and pleasure as well. Venus. Enjoyment of life. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. If this kind of content rocks your world or just makes you sleepy, let me know. Let's talk about you, Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Virgos, you got that chironic wound story beginning to heat up there for the next few years in your 9th house of God. Now, God is elevated. It means spiritual texts and books and wisdom and knowledge accumulated, the understanding from ancient scriptures, scrolls, and parchments of what real things are about here. Oracles as well, good old temples in the ancient world were very 9th house, pilgrimages. It's also house of academia, the books of knowledge in the libraries of Oxford. You know, it's where you want to go to learn something very, very up there in the erudite ivory tower energy. And Chironic wound entered here June 19th. And if you were not educated in post-secondary education, but you've wanted to be, or you are, but you want to go back because you didn't study the right thing, Chiron here typically in clients' charts will incite you to see the energy of going back to school as positive and likely the path you're wanting to take to align with purpose, dharma, and meaning in your life. So this is his first testing since June 19th, retrograding August the 4th. To the degree to which this is true, I want you to go under the surface. I want you to look at it more clearly. I think you're going to anyway, between now and September 17th. This is the kind of thing where you could be propelled at the end of this by mid-September to begin looking around for the studies and educational studies that are going to fulfill your desire. Now, the ninth house also can connect to chironic wounds with father figures. And so therefore dig into that, as well as chironic wounds connected to international themes. Now, we have visas and passports and long distance trips across countries here and pilgrimages as well. So with Venus flowing from your identity house, it's how does your identity from a fallen Venus tell you that education, international travel, is somehow, or your father relationships are father figures as well, authority figures are somehow really important right now. You know, you're coming off of Venus for like 3.5, almost a month, right? 3.5 weeks moving through Virgo. Therefore, you've been feeling like maybe your nails look beautiful and your hair is wonderful and your appearance is gratifying to you and others, and you are very diplomatic with the world, but you also experience a fallen Venus. And there may be something going on where you have felt that, especially in your one-on-one relationship, because she exalts that part of your chart. So are you feeling fallen because your relationship's got a problem, or are you just feeling down and out because your partner's struggling? I don't know. But there is this dynamic for some of you who are in partnership that you may have been experiencing. And Venus is flowing back to Chiron on his turnaround, August 3rd, 4th, and she's saying to him something like, I got your back. By the way, here's a lifeline. The trinal energy is good, and she might be trying to tug him into a deeper place of self-identity reflection. In other words, even though Taurus is, I have an education, I have a ticket to another country, I have a good father, hopefully, because Taurus can be very havingness. Venus is in the I am place. So it's really about you, Virgos, asking who you are. I remember when I was trying to, for example, quit drinking, because Chiron is moving away from or separating from Jupiter in a house of addictions and self-undoing, which is another story for you. Do you need to undo your addictions? Venus is a pleasure god fallen in your sign. When I was trying to work on addiction recovery, so to speak, by most people's standards, I have no problem. But that was reading the book by one of the Quit Lit girls. Could have been Annie Grace. And This Naked Mind, highly recommend that book. And maybe I was literally learning the lesson of, I'm not drinking right now, or I'm on a cleanse, I'm not drinking right now, or no thanks, I don't feel like drinking today, or whatever those things you'd say socially to avoid having drinks. It's really not the key to success. The key is oh no, it's okay. I'm a non-drinker. Oh no, thanks anyway. I don't drink. I'm a non-drinker. I am a non-drinker, rather than I don't want to have a drink now or maybe later, or I'm on a cleanse. So it's taking it away from a situation that is outside of you, and you're owning a new state of being. What I'm trying to get at for you Virgos is own a new state of being around something that is calling you, that's deeply purposeful in life, that may take you into international travels, may take you into possessing something. Ultimately, Venus does rule your second house, connected to the word international, but also you could find yourself, right? I am, right? What? I am a student of life. I am an avid learner. I am an adventurer of foreign lands. Like, own the I am of whatever this is, right? That's all I'm trying to get to. I am okay even if my father's wounded, because this is a father house too. All right, so I'm asking you to go a little deeper than I did for other signs because of the Venus in your sign. And so I'm going to stick with that story. Looks like some of you might want to quit your jobs and go back to school. Some of you may want to travel broadly and just take a hiatus from life. Whatever it is, take it. Take me down the road. Let me know how that feels for you. I'd love to hear back in the comments. Wow, I haven't even had my chocolate break. Okay, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm going to start again, but before I do, I'm going to share my favorite chocolate with you guys. It's called Hu, H-U, Get Back to Human, hazelnut butter, dark chocolate, 70% organic, no refined sugar, no cane sugar, and all that stuff. You guys always ask me what chocolate I have. And it is by a brother, sister, Jordan and Jessica, sibling co-founders. Don't you love that? And I believe they're from Italy. Oh my God, but it's my favorite chocolate. It's like, well, because it's got hazelnut in there, it's a little bit like that stuff with that chocolate hazelnut in a jar. I can't remember what that's called. Anyway, we're going to do Libra. Hang in there. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. I'm trying to eat chocolate. I'm trying to talk to Libra, and you're ruled by Venus, right? Which is pleasure. So you and the Tauruses totally get it. That's why we have a chocolate break on Libra halfway through the audio, because I'm hungry, and you get it. So I want to bring your attention gently and kindly to Chiron, in one of the deepest places in the chart. One of the most spiritual and potent places in the sky is your 8th house. Yes, it's chunky money. Yes, it's shared resources, but it's deep spiritual liberation from your ego conscious identity, from your sense of finite limited self, from the fictional self. And because of that, just like the 12th house people and the 4th house Chiron, you're coming into a window period like over 7 years where you could wake up. Wake the F up from this simulation matrix dream and remember who you really are. How's it been going? Chiron entered here on June the 19th. Chiron is now turned around and going backward until the 18th of September to deepen this understanding of true identity. But Chiron could give you other wounds. Shame, betrayal, and abandonment belong to the 8th house. Psychological woundology is here. Wounds that are very hard because often we want to keep them secret from the world, even from our own self. Chiron is expressing those wounds at a deep psychological level since June the 19th, maybe even bringing you back into childhood memories, especially now, especially as he goes retrograde. Because in the childhood memories will be actually something that are likely to be investigated a little bit more intensely by you. He's in a fixed sign. He's sturdy. He likes to hold on to those wounds. Let's lick those wounds, let's keep them here forever. It's like picking the scab over and over again so nothing heals properly. That's where you're at, maybe, since June the 19th. These wounds are more deep than you can imagine because 8th house wounds are also karmic wounds. They're going to hook you up to past lives and things that don't even come from this one lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure I took a vow of chastity and poverty in my last life as a nun in Berkeley, California at the turn of the last century. That's a long story, but I had dreams about that life. And it really influenced me in this lifetime. I didn't know how to unbundle from those wounds. Well, they were vows, but they got sticky in this life. They overlapped. How are you maybe even carrying parts of your own reality that are from another place and time, a co-present, simultaneous, everything, everywhere, all at once other life? Possibly. So there's a deep spiritual healing that can be had here, and it's an occult house. So see the mentors and guides and healers who are chironic. Who would they be? Shamans, readers, spiritual channelers, psychics. This is the type of help that's also calling you. Reach out to those people. Chiron is retrograding. Chiron will bring some of those types of healers, teachers, and guides from the past with a super spiritual, paranormal, occult edge back to you. Use them this time frame because you're setting yourself up for success over the next 7+ years because of Chiron's, I think, till 2033, ultimately leaving, stay in the sign of Taurus. Venus is flowing in a trinal, whole sign trine from the 12th house, and she is fallen. And she's still Venus, and she owns the Chiron's territory of Taurus, where he's traveling. I feel like you're definitely going deep. If you are looking for enlightenment, she's in one of the go max, as Candace Owens would say. It's a go max enlightenment house. So there's that, but you're looking for females then. You're looking for women. Okay, the sisters, the sisterhood, the convent, the spiritual female healer, teacher, or guide to be there to initiate you into more spiritual awareness in this life. That's very high level. Otherwise, let's talk about money. You might come into some chunky money. And maybe you know that's on your way. And you might be thinking, oh, ever since June the 19th, I bet you some chunky money could come my way. Could get you really personally because Venus rules you. And it could hit you right there, smack dab in your purse, so to speak. This can come through females, right? This can come through a female person who has fallen and money is translating to you. It could be like a grandparent female or someone in the lineage. There's no reason it doesn't have to be, though. It could just be money from a female is coming your way. A chunk of money is going to come, but the wounded healing part of it, right? The heart archetype of where the salt was in the wound or something, June 19th until now, could be with shared spousal resources, money you share with another person, your partner in business or love. And in that regard, that wound is trying to heal as well. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to how that feels between now and the 17th. And I don't know, Venus is just about to dip forward into Libra just after the stationary turnaround a couple days later. I think it's on August the 9th. I'm wondering if you're going to find yourself feeling more financially safe or happy on some situation that also could connect to a business or love partner and their financial resources. So, or the way you choose or decide together to share them. And you never know what that looks like until it happens. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'd love to hear back. Scorpio, sun, moon, rising sign. Venus is literally moving, Venus, Chiron is literally moving in the marriage house for a little occupation of long-term love. Now, I want to be clear about something before you get anxious, because a lot of people have emailed me, clients, comments in my Facebook, is this going to destroy my marriage? Chiron's going to be here for several years, till 2033. Absolutely not going to destroy your marriage. That would more likely be like Pluto or Saturn testing the marriage for 7 years to make sure it's solid and making sure there's no cracked engine block in the car of your marriage. But hey, Chiron here is very healing energy. But at first you have to discover where the healing needs to be done. What's the wound? Where is there something that's not going on with your long-term committed love, monogamy, live-in, common law, I don't care what, partnerships? So Chiron will first of all show you the wound, right? So you have to go back to June 19th all the way through till now, until August 3rd, 4th, and experience the wound. Ask yourself what this wound is. Look at it more closely. Is it your partner who's mopey, unhappy? Is your partner going through a difficult time? Is it their wound? What's your role in it? Or are you feeling wounded in the way you communicate? Or is there some existential wound in the idea of marriage? You're not married, doesn't matter. Now I'm suddenly thinking, marriage is not for me. Marriage is a toxic agreement. This is what I'm trying to get at. And the permanence of and the fixity of Taurus means that maybe there's a wound in your idea that everything is supposed to last forever till death do us part. Maybe some relationships will part before someone dies, right? You guys will take a vow, a Scorpio, and you'll want it to last because you have a fixed marriage house. If you vow to be with somebody, whether it's just like agreements to live in a home together or it's like till death do us part and it's wedding vows in the Western tradition, you mean it because you're born to stay in the relationship. You're born to make it last. You want it to persevere. You don't want it to change. That can be a problem and a big, huge lesson for you because everything changes and nothing is permanent. Even if the way the relationship works changes instead of it ends, it's important for you to flow and flex with that because Chiron will teach you that lesson in the next 7 years, whether you like it or not, or 2033. That's about 7 years. Okay. The other thing I want you to know is that Venus is flowing to Chiron, and yet she is also fallen. So it's complicated, but it's almost like your long-range goals and wishes, dreams and plans for your own life feel a little bit fallen in a concert with kind of a sense, perhaps a little bit of a woundedness in long-term love. There may be a fall that you've experienced with a friend or a group of people, and it may also be involved in a fallen relationship in friendship groups and circles to also conditions connected to being in a long-term love partnership. There is a way that I think with Chiron here turning retrograde because he's coming off of his tighter square to Jupiter, that some of you may be going through a period of time where there's a material change of circumstance. It could be, for example, like my son, he's going to be a father. as changing the dynamic of his relationship in late pregnancy for his wife? Of course, right? Because Jupiter rules the house of romantic love. And Chiron is separating from that in a retrograde motion. Jupiter, and they're moving away. So the way that we love is changing. The way that you've always been in the romantic, affectionate, sexual, intimate love stories of life is changing one way or another. Or the Chironic wound may be a business partnership, deals, and legal agreements, especially in entrepreneurial endeavors, is changing. But you have evidence since June 19th that that is true. So it's nothing new. You're working now and going back and healing your relationship to relationship itself, your relationship to romantic love itself, and your relationship to your visible worldly identity as well, in concert with the themes I've mentioned, including parenthood. So let me know how it feels to be you in your shoes at this time. Let me know if any of that resonates, Scorpio. I'd love to hear in the comments if some of that hit the mark. All right, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I've got this room so damn baffled, I don't think it'd be any more effing baffled. But I still hear an echo now and then. Okay. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, welcome. It is your sky where we have Chiron heading back in time, going over territory he traveled from June 19th until August 4th. And now he's going to backtrack over that through till September 17th. What are you learning about your love, your debts, your pets, your rental property and leasing opportunities, your health, and your work, your job, your work, if you have one. If you're retired, your service acts in your retirement. So first of all, to be really literal, a wounded pet, right? Obviously, household animals belong to the sixth house, and maybe with Chiron here, at some point you've experienced since June 19th, your pet's ill, your pet has a challenge, or there's a wounded quality in the relationship to your pet. Maybe your pet's barking all the time and you're just going to want to throw it out to the SPCA because you can't stop your animal from screaming all day long, right? There's wounds there. Something's going on. Your cat's peeing all over the place, has no continence, and you're struggling. Is it time to put her down or something like that? Whatever's going on, your pet can be sort of like a red herring, or not a red herring. Your pet can be a canary in the coal mine for deeper layers of meaning here. Because the sixth house is a house of servants. And we're always asked to be a servant to life. Where are we serving others? Where are we putting ourselves in a position to service our karmic debt? So because karmic debt belongs here, and if you're not paying your karmic debt, means you might be a little bit too selfish. Everything's all about you. But is it also real life debt? Real life debt, like you owe money, we all do. You got to pay mortgage payments, credit card payments, hydro bill, we call it hydro, power, electric bill payments. These are ways we have some servicing to do in life. We service those payments, we pay down our debts. But when you can't pay your debts down and you accumulate that debt, a hack would be to be of service to the world, to give out some free time of yours or something else. But there's lessons here around indebtedness for you. Debt for real, karmic debt, metaphorically. Your own health may have been challenged. Taurus is the neck. Okay, shoulders and neck. Have you had problems there? For one example, Taurus is other things. I'm not a medical astrologer. But have you had any problems with that part of your body since June the 19th? Maybe it's very literal for you. Now you're going backwards. Chiron is like the alternative healing idea, Kairos, hands-on healing stuff. So you can go see a faith healer, an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, any Reiki healers, hands healing, any healers who are practitioners of healing through the mechanism of their hands. I'm not giving you a prescription for a bunch of pills, is good for you now. And Chiron retrograde through to September 19th, 18th says go back to someone you've seen before. Go back to the old healers that you've already done work with before. I kind of think that the sixth house could give you a rental opportunity from the past because we see Chiron here separating from Jupiter. There is a quality in that separating square, like he's going back away from Jupiter, that it could indicate opportunities for home-based changes connected to rental properties. Whether you're going to rent your own home out or you're going to become a leasee, I don't know. But it does say that there may be some kind of rental opportunity connected to your past, that is returning for your own healing, especially if there's anything to do with the word international. Um, Maybe you've moved internationally and you want to rent a home in that strange country, or you've moved internationally and want to rent a home in your homeland, which is more likely in this chart. Lastly, when it comes to your work, Chiron's really a bugger. Through to 2033, I'll continually say, do you think this work you're doing is using your gifts and talents? Is your original medicine being dispensed to the world? Are you even remotely on purpose in your work life? For those of you who are not working because you're retired, in how you service others in this world, how your acts of service matter. And if you're not, getting a good two thumbs up like that, so this is Siskel and Ebert, if you're not getting that two thumbs up, take a closer look, because you'll be plagued with that question through to 2033. You may as well get a handle on it now. Venus has fallen, but she's trining in a whole sign way, Chiron in her kingdom of Taurus. She's in the top of the sky in your visible reputation and career zone. It's quite interesting because with Mars and Uranus in your seventh house, you may have a lot of turbulence in committed long-term love, should you be in such a relationship. And Venus has fallen in the house of I'm widowed, divorced, I'm single, the kind of status symbol, the status labels we give ourselves in the world. So you may be going through a difficult time in an existing love relationship. It may be kind of falling apart, getting undone, unraveling. You might be in the social sphere now seen as someone who's on the way out of a relationship. And if that's true, the reason I'm bringing it up is that karmic debts belong to the sixth house. Really speaking of ending a relationship under this sky means you have fulfilled the karmic debt to each other. No foul, no harm. Like, let it go, right? But I'm bringing that up because Venus is flow backwards, like tossing a bouquet over her shoulder toward the sixth house from the 10th, can be for some of you a real deep healing around a misdirection in your job, in your career, or in your professional activity. I don't know, a fallen Venus in the 10th house is you could have been fired by a gnarly biatch in the workplace. You know what I mean? She's the fallen Venus who is jealous of you and wants you out of the office. I'm just making stuff up. But whatever this is, did you experience any wounds in the last 3 or 4 weeks? I'm recording this on July 29th. Go back from like about August 9th, at least 3 weeks backwards, and what kind of wounds in the reputation work sphere may have occurred for you. Anyway, you're healing them. That's the good news. And, with Venus ruling your 11th house of a sibling one older than you, anything to do with your childhood, says Jupiter, and a sibling one older than you in birth order, and healing some of the wounds connected to that relationship would also be something that you might have been working on since June 19th and may continue to work on, especially if it involves money and legal matters and a sibling one above you in birth order. And so you can heal a legal issue with a sibling anytime, but can you heal the deeper reason the wound is there? And we're talking about the sibling one above you in birth order, very specifically, born before you were born, just before. Okay, so Capricorns, Cappies, should I do my goat imitation? You're actually a sea goat. You can swim, you have a tail. You're not actually a goat, but you are a goat too, so you're a sea goat. It's really a cool story. So Cappies, that's why you like rocky shores and seas together, right? If you think that you want to go off to a high cliff mountain, that would be fine. There's your goat, mountain goat. But when you don't have sea for your fishtail, you're not going to be happy. So I always tell Capricorns to find that sweet spot, like a mountain over a lake or something. Don't just stick with one or the other. So your Capricorn energy is going to experience the chironic wound in your fifth house. And your fifth house is the house of romantic sexual love. We have babies here. We procreate. How do we have babies? We have sex. Why do we have sex? Because it's a pair bonding. It stimulates pair bonding hormones in men and women, oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. So it allows for a couple to get together, experience pleasure, yes, orgasmic pleasure, hopefully, intimacy, vulnerability, and connection. And that stimulates pair bonding, wanting to stay with somebody, wanting to protect and care for each other. Because the ultimate act of procreativity that leads to the pair bonding and the romantic love would invite in some people children, and you have to be a long-lasting couple. You're kind of born in sexual love to be Taurian, which is that you probably Capricorns would prefer a steadfast fixed relationship in sexual love. You're not a player gallivanting between multiple partners. most likely. And so now we have chironic wounds here. You have to be careful for sexual diseases. I know, I'm not trying to scare you. Chiron still represents medicine. Okay, healing, yes, but medical stuff. It's not necessarily true that you're going to get an STD because Chiron is here. But be careful because he's been here since June 19th, and now he's going to turn around. And through to September 17th, he's going to go back. And anytime a planet goes backwards, he's treading old ground that started to activate in the middle of June. Okay. Now he's going to go into that space, whatever happened mid-June about sex, love, romance, your children, pregnancy and conception, things to do with affection, things to do with pleasure and joy, and also creativity and entrepreneurship. You are now going backwards with Chiron. So what does it mean? It means you could go back to a relationship from your past that has wounded you, or that was a wounded love. So, tainted love, da da da, that song, tainted love. I can't sing it. I'm off key. That's why I don't dream to be a singer. But it's like tainted love, but it's wounded love. Okay. And so whatever wounded love you've encountered, it could be a wounded love story with your children, a big falling out with one of your kids, because your kids are here and we love our children. It doesn't have to be erotic love, eros. It could be familial love, right? It doesn't have to be all about the turn on, but there is a love wound. And it's not just your wound to that child or to that former love partner. It's your own love wound to love itself, right? So it's a difference. I really want you to sit with this with me for a minute. Okay. Take a couple deep breaths. What is it like to have a wound to love, like a wound of love, a fundamental love wound? Because that's what's happening here. And therefore, we attract situations, falling out with our children, a difficult romantic partnership that ended badly. Treachery, betrayal could even be included here. And yeah, but it's not really about that. It's about your relationship to the idea of love. End of story. Rumi, beyond right doing and wrongdoing is a field, I will meet you there. I just read that poem to a former love partner of mine today, and I was in tears because of the ending of that poem, because I recognize that the lessons of love are so bittersweet, right? They're just so bittersweet. Anyway, you're here for that. And so until 2033, you're also repairing and healing the eros and love and sex wound as well. Now that sounds really weird, right? So yes, you could heal an STD anytime, hopefully, but there can be other things there for you to inspect, right? Other areas of your relationship to sexual energy itself that needs to be healed and investigated through till 2033. For every one of you, it'll be different, right? I feel like with Chiron being loved up by Venus, and she's backtracking a bouquet at him from her fall in the 9th house. See, she's up here and she's flowing back in a Earth trine to Chiron, and he's in her kingdom. There is something for you about the bouquet that she's tossing back, another Earth sign, connected to one's life's purpose, dharma, meaning. And yet it's connected as well to inspiration, creativity, and enthusiasm. It's also connected to love in a foreign land, love with a foreign person, because this is the house of the foreign place in life. With Venus at the top of the sky in the 9th house, if she had her druthers despite her fall, she'd be asking for things that are just and true, connected to wisdom and knowledge. And yet at the same time, Chiron is working at the more intimate level of the physiological expression of mortal love, where Venus in the 9th house of God could be looking at a higher love. But she's very pristine and pure. She's like the convent nun here. Anyway, I could make up a story. Does sexual intimacy define love? That would be a question for you to ask yourself. Ask yourself that question now. Go deep, go under the surface of the story, because that is your story. I did a video years ago called What is Intimacy or something based on a spiritual shift. And I was really clear that romantic or just sexual love isn't love, right? That's not what love is made out of. It's like maybe an icing of a pleasure on the unconditional love cake. So there's some deep lessons for you guys. I kind of went overboard. I'm pretty sure I went over some people's desire to listen to some sort of esoteric conversation, but I don't know how else to parse it. Chironic wound in the fifth house can be a wound with a sibling, but if it is a sibling, it's a sibling born two beneath you in birth order or born four above you in birth order. Okay, all those are true as well. All right, so let's continue the story on to the next sign. Don't forget, you've got until like September 17th to figure this out. And by the way, Chiron, kind of parting from Jupiter, can be wounds around your shared monies and resources with another person, money wounds connected to inheritances, especially if inheritances involve siblings. And Venus may be focusing primarily as well on healing reputational wounds connected to relationship. Those are things you're working with through till September 17th. Let the deep dive Band-Aid Ripper of Chiron help you out. All right, we have two more signs to go. I feel like I've been talking for a long time. Let's talk about this for you, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. A fundamental feeling here is this is very important. Chiron is in the house of childhood. This is angular. It's one of the stakes or the kentrons of the chart. Houses 1, 4, 7, 10 are critical. And so therefore, this is really rooted in your past. The part of your fourth house midnight hour is what you did and who you were and who you live with growing up. What lessons did you imbibe from the straw of parental authority? What did they make you sip? Did you drink the Kool-Aid when you were a little kid? Because if you did, you're going to try to figure out what that Kool-Aid was. You're going to try to heal it. Oh my God, I just drank, I don't know. So give me some toxin. I just drank a toxic Kool-Aid from my childhood. How do I get rid of it? So there's a lot of healing for you until 2033 around your childhood stuff. Now, of course, it depends on your age, right? But because at age 49 to 50, please get my free Chiron course, you literally healed this already. But more importantly, or you're post the worst of this lesson. You've gotten past the thick of it. But my feeling is that with the Chiron in your fourth house, there may be a fundamental wound of belonging, and the belonging wound of Chiron. First of all, heal your mother wound, because he had a big mama wound. He was abandoned by his mother, right? Because she was raped, and by being raped, he was born. So it was a really messy story. But I'm telling you, I think you are very capable of also having to heal a mother wound in the next few years, because the house of the mother in my tradition that I use, I go with the Vedic one, it works best, is that's where your mother's story really sits. And so healing that as well is very critical. I just put a picture of my mom up. I'm an Aquarius rising like you on an altar. I've never had my mom on my altar. I've always had my dad. It's so weird. I love my mom, loved my mom, but now she's on my altar. And I now realize this because Chiron, starting on June 19th, has been traveling through my fourth house, house of the mother, and I'm working with my mother's stuff. My mom was a housewife. My mom never had any money. My mother missed her calling. My mother wanted to be a famous actress. Don't ask me how. She was pitifully shy. But all said and done, my mother's unmanifest dreams and her feeling of being stuck and disempowered financially, the mantle seems to be on me to heal that. I'm aware of some of that. I'm also healing my dad's line, but let's just say all of us Aquarians look down to the root of the chart and figure it out. Now, Chiron, June 19th, retrograding in the fourth house, can be the wound of the home. What is wounded literally? Did you have a flood in your building? My whole building got flooded. Believe it or not, Chiron is still not retrograde. The building has been absolutely a nightmare of deficiencies, brand new building. The management has been horrendous. The air conditioning bill for 3 days of air conditioning was gobsmacking. Do I have a wound of my home? I do. I don't think I'm going to renew my lease, right? But Chiron's given me a lesson about this wound. What is there about Chiron as well since June the 19th until August 4th that you've been learning as a deep and profound lesson to do with childhood indoctrinations, but also spiritual awakening, because we have an awakening moksha house here. We have different ones, guys, but this is one of them. We have 12, we have 4, and we have 8. 4 is kind of to disentangle yourself from the bindings of your childhood, cultural normatives, your religious norms from your childhood, your familial norms, right? The whole system and what it teaches you. It's an individuation archetype. And I feel like if any of you can relate, you might have thought, I had a happy childhood, it was wonderful. And then you go to a therapist, and after 2 sessions, you realize it wasn't so happy after all. You adapted. You made the best of a bad deal. You coped, right? That's everyone's childhood for most part, really. Always always like look at people and say, I had a happy childhood, and I don't roll my eyes, but I wait for them to tell me the truth one day or figure it out for themselves. So there's that energy of really deconstructing your childhood from the foundation, tearing down the foundational roots that formed you that are not needed, because some of those foundational building blocks of childhood are unstable, and you're going to take them out and refine them by 2033. But right now, is there woundedness in your living environment? Is there a wounded energy? Is there something wrong? How can you heal it? I can't heal the flooded building on one side of the building. I can't heal the air conditioning price. It's something else. I have to go inside of me and heal something about my childhood. For example, it's I could complain about the bill, but I can pay it. So the scarcity I learned as a child from my Scottish dad, who wouldn't buy my mother a carpet for 1,000 years and it was threadbare, even though he had money as a pharmacist, is that money is a scarce resource and we certainly don't spend it. Well, I'd rather have a cool room to do a video with you guys and worry about my air conditioning bill. So I'm having to unwind my psyche from my childhood. Hopefully you get the point. That's just examples, guys. I'm not talking about me, but I know me. I don't know a lot of other Aquarians in my real life to give you examples. Okay, so one more thing. Venus is in a flow state called a trine, whole sign, earth trine. And she's talking to Chiron from the 8th house as this station turnaround happens on the 3rd. It's probably better that I go back a day because it's going to put the moon where the moon isn't on the turnaround. So 3rd, 4th time zone dependent. So when Venus is flowing back to Chiron for us, all of us, she's doing it from the house of chunks of money and shared resources. So it's also about realizing there's a lot to be said about your ability to make money, money from ad revenue, money from royalty income, whatever other monies you can get, shared resources with others. That money flow is there. It's talking to Chiron at the root of the chart, the base of reality of your childhood, and having you repair some of the money stories. Maybe I just told you my dad didn't share the money with my mom. And what is the 8th house? Shared resources in a marriage, right? There's healing here for me, healing for somebody else. Venus is fallen though, and she's been having a hard time through till about August 9th. And I can't remember when in June she crossed into Virgo, but just trust me, it's been at least 3 or 4 weeks. And she's kind of having a tough time in the 8th house. Now that's another spiritual liberation house. Okay. So now that's kind of like I completely leave my egoic identity behind. I cast off the fake robe of identity. The friction of myself is no longer bothering me and my mind is shutting up now. That's not necessarily a bad place for Venus to be, because a fallen Venus is a renunciate from worldly pleasure. She's more focused on spiritual depth. But just ask yourself also if there have been some stories about that kind of pleasure and enjoyment of life versus spiritual wisdom and the sanctity of truth that you've been working through yourself. And Chiron's helping you now as he goes back through to the 18th of September, really dive deep into those spiritual awakening possibilities and narratives. Chiron is separating from Jupiter after being in a tight square in the house of committed love. There may be a compression there that's releasing itself, some person that you've been very committed to in a long-term way, and you're now healing as you go backwards that wound. Now, finally, the last thing to say through to September 18th, Chiron's just turning backwards, in a place that represents home. So it's possible that some of you might want to change your home. Good news is an exalted moon will join Chiron on the 4th, 5th time zone dependent, and there could be an opportunity for an exalted new home. I'm not going to guarantee that. Chiron could bring you that opportunity by September 17th, right? Somehow, some way, you're able to receive a better place to live, a very healing place to live. Don't forget, lastly, it's fixed signs. You guys don't like to change homes. It's fixed sign, 4th house, Taurus. You like gardens, you like flowers, you like earth under your feet, you like land. So I'm in a high rise. Boy, oh boy, I miss all of that. My sister sent me pictures of her garden today and a video, and I'm, my backyard growing up is where she lives, and I'd be like, oh my God, I need to go visit my sister just to walk on the earth with my bare feet. And although I hadn't planned to go back east because I don't have time, I might do it. Let me know about your life. I'm sorry I talked about me so much. Tell me, do you think you're going to move? Do you feel a wound in your home where you live? Are you able to see some childhood patterns, especially mother stuff that has been playing out since June 19th? Have you recently separated from a committed love partner or begun to retract from that connection? And if so, how and why? And does it help you heal your childhood stuff? These are just some suggestions. Wishing you the best. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. I have a story about Chiron to tell you. Chiron is in your third house. What does that do for you? Well, primarily it means that you're trying to heal sibling relationships, but you might also be healing your relationship to your neighborhood, your neighbors, to your ideas, to your writing, communicating, marketing, and selling landscape. There's something about the third house being so damn busy with everything in it. This is also about your thinking process, your mind. It's the I think house. All right. So, how are your thoughts your worst enemy? The sibling house also can be reduced here to the sibling one younger than you, if you have a sibling one younger, otherwise, siblings in general. Now, this chironic wound is evident as of the 19th of June and will be with you, by the way, till 2033. But we're just talking about the first teaser. And there's something here about June 19th to August 4th, 3rd, 4th, where you've been evidently investigating your wound to your neighbors, your wound of the neighborhood, your wound of your daily habits and routines, the wound of your thoughts, the wound of your siblings, just to name a few. Third, the wound of travel. Are you wounded in the short distance travel house? Is there something that's handicapping, so to speak, your ability to travel? Anything. So Chiron is here. Chiron will go back and deepen the investigation of this wound that he tested, right? So starting on the retrograde turnaround of the 3rd of August or so to the 17th of September, you're on the game of investigating it more deeply. Because he's flowing to Venus in your 7th house, I want you to look at your commitment to partnerships in business and love, particularly love. Venus is a love goddess, and she's in a house of committed love, and she's fallen. It's conceivable that starting when she ingressed into Virgo, I'm sorry, my exact date isn't on the top of my brain, but I remember thinking she's almost a month in Virgo. She leaves, I think, on August the, I can't remember the date. Oh, she moves out on July. No. When does she leave Virgo? I don't know. Whenever she leaves Virgo. August the 9th, maybe. August the 6th. But anyway, she's getting the hell out of Dodge. And then take that and go back through much of July. Okay? Were you feeling problems with business partner agreements, legal agreements, or things to do with shared resources with your spouse or committed love partner? I say shared resources specifically for a reason. Like the 8th house is that kind of inheritance money, spousal support money, alimony, palimony, whatever, money from your joint bank accounts that you put together and pile into one accrued spousal account. So shared spousal resources as well. Where have you felt out of sync? Where have you felt challenged here? Because Venus is probably in her fall, maybe your partner is fallen. Maybe your partner has had health challenges. Maybe your partner is fallen in Virgo, antiseptic towards you. Like there's no romance, there's no affection. Maybe your partner is going through some stories that you're not even a part of. It's their landscape. You're just playing your part in it. And that Venus in her condition of fall is Earth trining your Taurus Chiron narrative. 3 and 7 are desire houses and relationship houses. And there's things about what you desire in life and what your relationships look like as well, who you relate to, that are trying to heal. If we talk siblings as well, we can be more specific and talk about a sibling 3 older or younger than you in birth order, born like, okay, so there's me, and there's a sibling 1 above me, and 2 above me, and 3 above me in order, birth order, or below me. That sibling is where Venus is traveling. So you have that many siblings. That relationship may also have some serious problems that you're working through as Chiron is turning around through to September 17th in your 3rd house of siblings. And did I just shake the table? Sorry, Stella, if I did. Now, one of the things I want to tell you about Chiron and Venus in this kind of trine. Venus, when she's fallen in the 7th house, over the years I've done work with clients, she's there once a year for a measly 3 weeks. But it usually means the relationship is going to have a falling out of some kind. It tends to be always about 8th house matters, which is money that you guys share. So try to pull back a little bit the lens from a bird's eye view, or it can be about sexual secrets and betrayal. Secrets and hidden variables your partner has kept from you or you have kept from them, as well as money issues. And so that's where you have to have your eagle eye on this story. Okay, that's it. Watch what's happening here, because when Chiron retrogrades, he's going backward. Now, you could travel to a place you've been before. You could reconnect with siblings you haven't seen in a while through to September 17th. But you're also having to deal with whatever Venus is up to there. And, she's just on the cusp of going into the secrets house. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said about maybe your partner's been sexually frigid with you because they have a little side hustle, right? I'm just giving you some ideas. Don't get paranoid. I'm just saying there's something there for you to consider. It's not just Venus retrograde. I mean, Venus in that house for 3 weeks every year, 4 weeks sometimes. It's the fact that she's hooking up to a chironic wound in the third house of communication, emails, phone calls, texts. So maybe that's already happening. Now you have to go back and repair the damage or talk about it with your partner. Finally, Chiron is separating from Jupiter in a house of debts. And so, again, debts, indebtedness, partnerships, shared monies, resources, and even the work you're doing. If you work in the online social media landscape and Jupiter is your golden opportunity, yeah, you're retracting a little and going deeper or repairing, and your health, right? Because you've got the South Node in your 6th house now and started around the 26th of July. Any health challenges you encountered, like in the last week of July, are now also encountering Chironic retrograde stories. So Chiron is a healer. Go back to the acupuncturist or the healer or the alternative healer, the new age type alternative healer that you've gone to before and heal something to do with your health that may have been popping up for you after July the 26th or even before that, because Chiron is separating from Jupiter, who would expand a problem for your visibility. When Jupiter is in the 6th house, and he'll be here for a year, he blows up the health problem for investigation, right? He takes the microscopic and makes it macroscopic so everyone can figure out, oh, that's what's wrong. So you can heal it. So if that's been going on since like June the 21st and now the South Node is there, there's a turning point in your healing, but find the right healer. Chiron is a healer for you, likely the local neighborhood, but now in our virtual neighborhood, it's the online neighborhood. Where is the healer for you that helps you heal? It could be a doctor, sure. Could be a physician, but it's definitely opening up a corridor of better health and different healing modalities coming your way. And with the retrograde, you've done this healing thing before. You've tried it before. It's not the first time you've had an acupuncture needle jabbed into you, if that's what you're doing. Okay. All right. That's it. That's what I got. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That was a really long video. Holy man. I'm going to bump this one to a Sunday. I think it was scheduled for a weekday. I think it's too important to let it languish. I want you guys to be on top of this Chironic turnaround story. I'll see you soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to come study Sky Reader with me. Now, I'm a little hot and sweaty in here. I'm afraid to turn the air conditioning on and get a big bill. It's ridiculous. All right. And I only had it on for like 3 days. Oh my God. It's scary here in Canada. I'll see you guys around. Take care. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon and all the other stuff. Every year I teach Sky Reader in the fall. It's always in September. It's usually 6 weeks long. And this time we're going for 7. We're taking it a little slower, giving you a very kind of leg up first week, which we take the pieces of the sky and teach you to read them in a very constructive and well-paced manner. This is my favorite class to teach. When I teach Sky Reader, I always feel so excited because you have learned to read your own sky. You now know what your chart is all about, and you know how to read the basic language of astrology for your friends, family, and your children, whoever you want to share it with. No, we're not professionally certifying you at Lunatic Astrology, and I'm your teacher, Lori Lothian. We're teaching you to fish so that when you listen to me on YouTube and you're getting all of that guidance, maybe you can also get your own. We don't want to move against the sky. We want to move with the sky. We want to move in the area of our lives that brings us flow and ease, because the sky supports that. And by having a knowledge of what the sky is saying, and relative to our own natal sky, we are able to operate at a new level. That level is about flow. It is about not arguing with what is happening and moving in the direction of what wants to happen. It is so darn simple. Life is full of ups and downs, but if you know that there's a swamp, 2 doors away, and if you walk that way, you're going to get stuck in quicksand, you can avoid that. If you go to the left instead of the right, there's a beautiful meadow with a lake. Why not take that path? The sky is always grabbing us. It's called the grahas, or the grabbers. The planetary planets, like where they're going in the sky, the transits, that moving heavens, the moving stars, the map of time is a map of where we should avoid getting stuck and where we may move forward with freedom. And the grabber part of planets is that they're almost like celestial teasers, right? They want to grab us and make us move in a direction. Sometimes it's not in our highest and best good. And I don't mean in a conscious, malefic way. I just mean you can take something like Neptune and make it all about transcendence and spiritual union and high creativity and imagination. And you could take it all the way down to drug addiction, and destitution maybe, and even things to do with mental challenges, health challenges. So you can operate at all levels of every planet. In Sky Reader, we show you your highest potential. Now, this is an introductory class. If you want to come to Sky Reader to be your own astrologer and time your best life, then you're coming because you are curious astrologically. You're not coming because you've already taken some heavyweight courses under your belt. You're coming because you've been listening to my channel or other astrologers, and you've always had a curiosity about learning, and you always want to learn to read the sky, which is the map of time. So I'm hoping some of you will come join me there, because I've graduated hundreds of students so far, and the feedback is wonderful. And I invite all of my students, former, to come back every year and play around in redoing the course for 75% off, because I think the more you do it, the more you deepen it. We have guest teachers every year. When you join Sky Reader, you get the archived vault. In other words, you can go back and watch other guest classes in astrocartography, the astrology of relocation, and things to do with zodiac or releasing and more. We have these guest teachers coming in this year, are so much fun. We have a guest teacher about the love codes, Donnie Lim of astrology, learning to read your Venus story. We have a guest teacher coming in about medical or wellness astrology. We have another one showing us about how to choose the perfect day to do something, day and time to launch your website, get married. That's called electional astrology. We have what's your purpose, dharma kind of thing with another teacher. So what we're doing is we're giving you a lot of content. What you're doing is you're taking time to learn, but also to hold on to that content forever. It is evergreen. Once you have it, you never don't have it. If it's over your head at first, it won't be over your head when you take a second stab at it. Weekly Q&As, different time zones, so we can get people around the world in those Q&As. We alternate between evening and night every second week on Wednesday nights, and usually they're at 5:30 or 6 p.m. Pacific time. We also have the idea that the class itself is now happening at 9:30 a.m. in Pacific time on Saturday, starting on the 19th of September. So that's wonderful. We have a Facebook group and a Discord group that we have moderators running, where you can meet other people who are learning astrology, share your notes, and get to meet some new astrologically curious friends. Who knows, you might meet your soulmate there. And we're also taking you through a journey that is sequential, from learning to read the sky to being able to use 2 very profound timing tools to help you understand your reality and begin to move forward with ease and grace. The feedback from Sky Reader year after year has been phenomenal, and every time I teach it, I learn to make it more simple, more well-paced, and more easy for you to grasp. So I'm in 7 years of doing this. I think I'm getting it down finally to a fine art, thanks to you guys. I'm going to show you the website just so you see what it looks like. I'm now moving most of my content to LoriLothian.com. It used to be somewhere else at Padaya. If you're there already, nothing is taken away from you. At this point, though, I'll show you the new website so you can take a gander at what the sky looks like over there, what my site looks like. And I hope to see some of you in class. I always say this, and I'm not making this up. You might probably think, oh, that's a sales pitch. Oh, I might not teach this next year. That's not true. I always wonder if I'm just going to retire and start to write books. And my agent wants me to write a book. And so I have a lot on my plate to get done in this life. Legacy is to leave a book behind. So for me, when I say I may not teach this next year, Lori may not teach this next year. Okay. All right. So this is the website, LoriLothian.com. If you go /sky-reader, you'll be at the introduction to the course and the enrollment page. We're on a discount code right now until the end of July. Well, it's not a code, it's just a discount. There's 40% off the full price. And then in August, depending on when you hear this, there'll be another lower price, not as discounted as July's early enrollment price, but by September, it will go to full price. So make sure that you get in this class with a discount if that's something you're looking for. So you can see this beautiful website was created by my team. I think it's gorgeous. learn to read your sky, and then there's a preview of what we have going on. So when you get into the course backdrop and you're there, you're going to have like stuff already waiting for you, a little tutorial on how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, free meanings of the 12 houses PDF, and I have what I call your Astro Toolkit, and I'm always adding more stuff to that toolkit. You don't need a professional software. You can use Astrocom, astro-seek.com, time passages. These are free softwares. This is not requiring you to purchase professional software in order to learn in my course. And you'll see that we have the toolkit here. These are elements that go in, how to cast your chart in whole sign houses. These are already in the back end of the program. Your cheat sheet pack, 12 signs, 12 houses guide. This is just learning tools. This is all going to help you learn. For most classes, I'll be putting together a handbook to help guide you through each class, which is new this year, kind of a prompts, a questions, things to fill out so that you can use it as a kind of self-study tool. Just print it out on a PDF on a computer. I'll aim to keep it black and white, of course, so you don't have to worry about color. And then we see that the Astrology 101 is we set you up really slowly. I call it the slow start, where we're really going to build the basic building blocks together so that when you come off of week one, you are like someone who went to kindergarten to learn the alphabet. You're going to have the basics in your toolkit, in your understanding already. And then we talk about the various parts of the sky, the big four, the 12 houses, dignity matters. Planets have dignity. You want to understand that. Otherwise, there's nothing you're going to understand without that. Dignity matters. We're also using whole sign houses, and this is ancient Hellenistic astrology. The focus will not be on the outer planets because we can't use them as time lords. And so it's not that there's anything wrong with the outer planets, but they're not good for timing your best life. Unless you want to live 248 years, says Pluto, 164 years, says Neptune, or 84 years, says Uranus. They're not the most timely tools, right? Solar returns is one of the things we do, and we learn about the perfection ages. Now, you may think I know all about my solar return and my perfection age. I don't think you do. I embed in some advanced tools there for you that you won't probably find anywhere else after like 8 years and thousands of clients, nonstop teaching and seeing real clients in the trenches. I have figured a few things out, and I always like to share what I figured out with you guys so that you can also use those tools the way I do. There's always bonus content here. And so you get from me, not to use until you've taken Sky Reader, the birthday chart advanced course as your solar return, the annual perfections advanced course, and how to find people in your chart. Where's my mom? Where's my kids? Where's my husband? Where's my siblings? How to find the planets that represent those people in your chart. That is also a part of a course that I've taught that I give you as a part of your bonus toolkit. Okay, so I hope you guys will go over. I hope you'll have fun if you come to study with me. I would love to see you there. When I talk about teaching, without a doubt, it is my favorite thing to do. It gives me a joy, actually. I remember years ago, I went to see a psychic reader in Coquitlam, Canada. That's outside of Vancouver. She looked at me as I walked in the room. This is like 15 years ago. And she said, teacher, 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 you are a teacher. At the time, I was a magazine editor and a writer, and I had no idea what she was talking about. And look at her today. She was right 15 years later. That is my passion. That is what I do. Hope you'll join me. I'll see you guys in Sky Reader, and let's have some fun learning together. Everyone have a very good, wherever you are, day, month, or year.
Lunatic astrology.